border region. In a video address, Zelensky indirectly acknowledged the ongoing military actions. He said the commander of Ukraine's armed forces had sent him multiple reports about the frontline situation and what he called our actions to push the war out into the aggressor's territory. Ukraine's raid into Russia caught Moscow unaware and was an embarrassment to Russian military leaders who have scrambled to contain the breach. I'm Karen Chamas.
The leaders of France, Germany, and Britain in a joint statement have endorsed the latest push by mediators, United States, Qatar, and Egypt to broker an agreement to end the 10-month Israel-Hamas war. They also call for the return of scores of hostages held by Hamas and the unfettered delivery of humanitarian aid. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 140 points, the Nasdaq rose 35. More at townhall.com.
Madame Giselle senses something big coming.
Is it a career change?
Everything looks wet.
I'm going to be a swim teacher.
There's a roof.
A swim teacher who also does roofing.
No, the roof of your RV has a leak and it's ruining the furniture.
Oh, that's okay. I'm covered by Progressive. But maybe I'm a swim teaching roofer who makes furniture.
Customize your coverage with Progressive's Roof Protection Plus and be prepared for the unexpected. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Roof Protection Plus available for RVs less than 6 years old. $250 deductible applies to any claim.
Do you owe back taxes? The IRS has spent millions in taxpayer dollars enhancing collections. COVID is over and they are back in full force, levying bank accounts and garnishing wages. It's your money. Don't let them take it. Call Ultimate Tax Help now. 888-505-1099. Their super team of tax specialists will contact the IRS and stop all collections. Missing tax filings? No problem. Stop the stress. Ultimate Tax Help is an A-plus rated 5-star company. 888-505-1099. Call now. 888-505-1099.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Wall Street closing mixed after driving through the day and a quiet day of trading as markets around the world stabilized following a wild week. The S&P 500 was little change. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 0.4%. The Nasdaq Composite gained 0.2%. The majority of U.S. stocks fell, but a big gain for NVIDIA helped to offset.
I'm telling you,
losses. European and Asian markets
biggest stadiums
were also
that we'll
relatively
go to, well, outside of coastal.
Highly anticipated updates on U.S. inflation and retail sales coming later in the week. The Dow was down 140 points today to finish at 39,357. The Nasdaq gained 35 to 16,780. The S&P 500 gained less than a point to 53.44. With the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scully.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Our affiliate in Florence.
Here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy and muggy overnight with a low dipping down to 73. Tomorrow more clouds than sunshine, a 40% chance of some afternoon storms, while the high is 88. The rest of the work week will have high temperatures hovering in the upper 80s, a blend of sunshine and clouds, and about a 20% chance we get some afternoon rain each day. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107. Please press button now. No, number one.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time.
But he led me to believe.
It's those small steps.
I didn't get y'all's email.
I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network, and happy Monday to you, if you can say that on a Monday, a hot, sticky Monday around the state of South Carolina. Hope you had a great day, and thank you for joining us here on Sports Talk, your favorite sports talk show, the most talked about, the most listened to, the most followed, and when I'm talking, the most handsome sports talk show on the radio. If a talk show could have a face, it had this face, it'd be the most handsome talk show in America. Our phone number, 888-898-2525. That is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you on this Monday night. We'll try to take some phone calls coming off a weekend in which we had the two scrimmages at South Carolina and Clemson. We're going to hear from both of those coaches. Of course, we're back on the Palmetto Pigskin Tour tonight, not too far from our downtown studios in Columbia. We're over at Benedict College, where Chris Bergen, I would say, of course, this flies off the radar screen, but I'm not sure any coach in America, well, maybe the guy at Alabama, but outside of him, Ron Dickerson Jr., taking over here at Benedict College, steps into a situation where he inherits a program that went undefeated the last two seasons and won their conference championships. They've gone 22-2 over the last two seasons. And he is stepping into that situation where really, I mean, you can still go up because you can make the playoffs and win more games, but very slippery slope he is standing on here at Benedict.
Yeah, you're right. Interesting comparison to Kalen DeBoer. Maybe not quite the national championship winning coach that DeBoer's replacing in Nick Saban. But yeah, Chennis Berry did such a great job at Benedict. And his only two losses the past two seasons were both in the Division II playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. So they went undefeated in both regular seasons. So yeah, the bar is set extremely high at Benedict. And now you have a new coaching staff coming in. What do they maintain? You hope you sort of maintain that winning attitude at Benedict, which I would imagine they will. But how many players are they able to retain off the past couple of seasons? It's going to be a fascinating discussion coming up after 7.
Yeah, Ron Dickerson Jr., a name well known here in South Carolina. You know, first and foremost, his dad coached in South Carolina at Clemson, where he was defensive coordinator for a while, and then he was an administrator in athletics over at South Carolina. And Ron, of course, was a terrific athlete and has been a coach in the coaching business for 27 years. Now he gets his chance to come into one of the top HBCU Division II programs in the country to see if he can sustain it. And, the problem is he lost a lot of players off of last year's team, had to hit the transfer portal, John, really hard, and continues to do so to this point. So we'll get the lowdown from Coach Dickerson, a couple of players coming up a little bit after 7 o'clock. We'll hear from Dabo Sweeney and from Shane Beamer. I guess the word coming out of the two scrimmages, Chris, the word was sufficiently satisfied. Maybe that's more than a word. Several words. Sufficiently satisfied with what they saw, the two head coaches in the scrimmages, in that they see progress. They see some areas of weakness and some areas of concern, of course, but there's time to work on that. And they were able to keep some of the guys who've been banged up out without getting anybody else, severely banged up. At South Carolina, I guess one question is, don't know if anything's been determined today, is what's going on with Elijah Davis. He did not scrimmage on Saturday. He was not seen at practice on Sunday by those who were out there, according to their reporting. Now, unless, maybe it's an injury or an illness situation, maybe he was back. Well, there was no practice today. Maybe he came out to practice after the media left on Sunday. I don't know. But otherwise, I think Shane Beamer comes across as being, pleased with a lot of different positions. I think at Clemson right now, maybe in the secondary, they've got a couple of injury situations to look at there. They're having to work one of their true freshmen, Hampton, a lot at corner. In fact, he might be good enough to earn some snaps at that corner spot, one of the corner spots. That appears to be their one area of concern on defense. Up front, their defensive linemen, their linebackers, those all look really good right now. Competition continues somewhat at place kicker for Clemson, which is a key item for them, as it is at South Carolina. So those competitions continue, though looks like at Clemson, Hoosier is the one who's kind of maybe nudged ahead in that competition at this point. At South Carolina, it looks like Herrera kind of has that job right now, the way things stand. So probably not a bad scrimmage either place. First time out of the box, defenses probably were a little bit ahead of the offenses. They hope to take this week before their next scrimmages, Clemson on Thursday, the Gamecocks on Saturday. Maybe see they can get a little more offensive punch in their scrimmages coming up next.
Well, not so fast up at Clemson if you buy what Dabo Swinney said, because he said the defense was undisciplined. He was not happy with his defense at all. Said the offensive line carried the day. They drove it right down the defense's throat on the opening drive, punched it in for a touchdown. Kate Klubnik's outstanding. I mean, and Dabo is probably as good at anybody of motivating his team through the media. So I listened to what he says about his defense, and he said they had some undisciplined penalties and that type of thing. I'll buy some of that. But my guess is he also knows that's the side of the unit everybody expects to be extremely good. So he will judge everything he sees from his defense under a very, very tight microscope. And he knows that most folks are not impressed with their offense. I mean, look at the Associated Press poll that came out today. Tigers not inside the top 10. It's not because they don't have a top 10 defense. It's because I'm not sure people believe they have a top 10 offense. So he's going to say the things to give his offense some confidence and also fire up his defense. And I think that's probably what we saw. He talked about they had some busts and mistakes they shouldn't make. I don't know how much of that is true. It may have been. Maybe the defense had a bad day. It's unusual for a defense, as you pointed out in the first scrimmage, to actually be behind the offense. So, like I said, I think Dabo's as a great a motivator through the media to his team as anybody I've ever seen. So my guess is the defense wasn't quite as bad, but he wants to make sure he keeps that nose to the grindstone on that side. The scary thing, if you're a Gamecock fan listening to Shane Beamer, the one concern you've got to have is at the place kicking position. I mean, he said, and I think I'm quoting him correctly, Kai Kroger is kicking the crap out of the ball, which I don't think anybody's surprised how good a punter he was. But the Gamecocks have had a pretty good place-kicking situation the last several years, Phil, and that may be an area of major concern right now coming off the first scrimmage, at least, where he's called throughout the first portion of practice sort of inconsistent place-kicking.
Yeah, they had some very dependable place-kicking over the last several seasons, so you hate to lose that little something in your offense if that's going to be the case for them. Going back to that AP ranking, which came out today, you mentioned Clemson is ranked 14th. Here's a little bit of a breakdown on the ranking from a Clemson standpoint. So the Tigers will begin 14th. They garnered 689 points in the voting. That saw them ranked as high as 9th by 2 voters and low as 22nd. Pete Yanity of WSPA TV in Spartanburg is South Carolina's lone AP voter. He took it over this year. Yeah, I guess because I think it was Gene Sapakoff, and when Gene retired, somebody had to pick it up, and so I guess they gave it to Pete. He had told me he was going to be a voter. I didn't realize
Does Iacovelli not get a vote?
I guess not. I guess he just hands them out.
Odd.
Yeah. I noticed a lot of television reporters are mixed in among the voters, not saying that they are nothing but pretty boys and pretty girls, more concerned about their amount of rouge than they are their knowledge of football. But you see a lot of TV people on the list of the voters. So Pete, we're going to, of course, have some fun with him at his expense. We're going to monitor his voting. So he voted the Tigers 20th. Okay, Clemson fans, Pete Yanitator voted Clemson 20th in his preseason ballot. Some of the national voters, there's really only, that I could tell, 3 what you would consider national voters. The rest are all regional, local type people. So you've got Reese Davis of ESPN. He voted the Tigers 11th. Adam Zucker of CBS Sports and Brett McMurphy with which one of the organizations is he with? He's one of those internet.
The Athletic now?
Nah, it might be. I think it's one of the others. He voted them 13th. So the national guys voted the Tigers higher than the local guy. Go figure. The number 14 ranking to start out the season is the lowest projection for the Tigers since they were ranked 16th going into the 2014 season. They finished that season ranked 15th. Each of the last 3 seasons, the Tigers were ranked in the top 10 of the preseason poll, only to finish 20th, 13th, and 14th, respectively. Of course, there was a time, that little stretch when Clemson was winning national championships or playing for them, when they were preseason picks, 1, 2, or 3, and they turned out to be 1 or 2. The voters looked very bright at that time. Georgia will start the season number 1, and they had 46 first-place votes. Ohio State is ranked 2nd with 15 votes, and Oregon is 3rd. They got the other first-place vote. Texas and Alabama round out the top 5. Then it is Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan, and Florida State. Missouri is ranked 11th, followed by Utah, LSU, Clemson, and Tennessee. Then it's Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Miami, and Texas A&M. Rounding it out, Arizona, Kansas, Southern Cal, NC State, and Iowa. Louisville, Virginia Tech, Boise, SMU, Iowa State, Liberty, Washington, West Virginia, Memphis, Nebraska, Wisconsin, UTSA, Tulane, Appalachian State, Kentucky, Auburn, and Colorado each got enough votes to score at least 1 point in the voting. So South Carolina did not receive any votes. They did not receive any votes in the AP poll. They did receive votes in the coaches poll, but not the AP poll. So there are people out there who think that Texas San Antonio is better than South Carolina. Are you kidding me?
That offense, if memory serves, they have had an explosive offense the past several years.
All right, but you know what? I'm going to tell you right now. If South Carolina and UTSA lined up tomorrow, South Carolina would be favored by 3 touchdowns and would win. And don't you think they'd be favored by 3 touchdowns over Texas San Antonio?
I'm not sure.
I think they would be. And I would lay the money. I would lay 21 points because, I mean, South Carolina would line up and run the ball down their throats and keep the football, and I think their defense is going to be better. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way. But you know what? All South Carolina's got to do is go win some games, and they'll end up, soon enough getting votes and moving. Hey, look, win your opener against ODU, win your game at Kentucky. You're probably going to be receiving some votes at that time, and you're off to a good start. And maybe win your next game, go 3-0, probably break into the top 25 at that point.
And McMurphy's with the Action Network now.
The Action Network, yeah. It's not how you start, of course. It's how you finish. So that is what the AP has to say. And, Clemson's got some work to do this season, Chris, to rebrand itself. I mean, I think in the eyes of the national media, the shine is off the Clemson brand right now. They're just another one of those teams that's good, could be great by the end of the season, but right now they're just looked at as, okay, might make the playoffs. When you're ranked 14th, that means, you might be able to squeeze into the playoffs this year.
Well, the same thing you said about South Carolina, just go out and win games. Clemson's got a chance to prove itself right out of the bat. I mean, right off the starting blocks. They go beat Georgia, and then nobody's going to question whether or not they're really good. And they'll be inside the top 10. Heck, maybe inside the top 5. You go win that game against Georgia. You get beat and don't look good in doing so, then the narrative's going to be, see, we told you so. Clemson has fallen off. Dabo Swinney is behind the times. He won't use the transfer portal. Now, you'll hear all that stuff that we've been hearing throughout the offseason that I think's ridiculous at this point. And you've got a golden opportunity if you're Clemson to go prove everybody wrong right out of the starting blocks on, less than 3 weeks now from this past Saturday.
Absolutely. In fact, speaking of unhappy, in some ways, again, this might just be fodder for the media, but Kirby Smart said after their practice on Saturday at Sanford Stadium, I guess it was a scrimmage, their first one, he was not happy and that his team was just surviving is how he put it. No one stepped up, not a lot of leadership today. He told boosters after the scrimmage. They just didn't do that today as far as showing a lot of leadership out there. He said the players were trying to survive because it was so hot. He said sometimes we have to practice like this to realize what we have to do. So there you go. He said he ain't worried about the heat. He said we'll have AC in Atlanta. That's what he told his team, trying to get them to work through the practice. They'll have air conditioning inside the Mercedes-Benz Stadium when they play the Tigers on August 31st. So quit complaining about the heat. So that's another one, kind of putting out that picture of, oh, woe is me.
Yeah,
by the way,
and I just really have a hard time buying any coaches when they come out of scrimmages, Phil, because they're all closed We don't get to see anything. Nobody in the media gets an opportunity, and you basically just have to take what the coaches tell us so they can craft whatever narrative they want. Now, I'm not saying that Dabo is wrong. Maybe their defense looked terrible. I can't believe that's the case because there's too much talent on that side of the football. I can't imagine that Georgia has no leaders on that football team. I think it is all fodder for his team to read in the paper. Well, coach is upset with us. We need to step it up a notch. And I believe that's totally what it is because there's no fact checking. There's no ability that we have to go in and say, no, Clemson had 5 turnovers forced defensively. They look great. Georgia ran up and down the field, and then the defense decided they dig their heels in. The offense couldn't move. They look great. We just have to take at face value what the coaches tell us.
That's right. You have no other choice. And usually they're not being very truthful, as you pointed out, so they don't want you to know exactly what's going on behind closed doors that you can't see. Let's see what else. To your calls in a moment, 888-898-2525. Over the weekend, the Gamecocks picked up a nice commitment for the 26 class in linebacker Keenan Britt out of Alabama. Beat Auburn and some other really good teams. That's 3 commitments for the Gamecocks in that class. We'll talk more about that in recruiting later on. Shane Beamer awarded scholarships to linebacker Ronnie Porter, running back Bradley Dunn over the weekend after watching their performances in camp. From
this
Texas
be the last
A&M.
time that happens. We have walk-ons awarded scholarships and have that big, team meeting and get all the video because moving forward, everybody that you're going to have on your roster is pretty much on scholarship, right?
That's my understanding. When they expand to 105, right? That'd be my understanding that you would not be able to take more than that. News out of Texas A&M, who the Gamecocks will be facing this year. Running back Reuben Owens expected to miss the season. Suffered a significant lower body injury after a scrimmage on Saturday. He had 743 all-purpose yards and 3 touchdowns, earned SEC all-freshman honors in 2023. So you don't like to hear that news. And that's a blow there for Texas A&M with that situation there. And we have Furman ranked number 9 in the AFCA FCS preseason poll. So the Paladins continuing to draw attention nationally. South Dakota State, North Dakota State, Montana State, and South Dakota. That's your top 5. I was up at Furman on Thursday. I asked Coach Hendricks, I said, what is it about that part of the world where you got South Dakota State and South Dakota, North Dakota State, Montana, and Montana State? The only one that's missing there would be North Dakota, and they're ranked 22nd. So, I mean, the answer is, of course, those are big schools.
Yes.
Those are state.
Imagine taking, yeah,
those
Imagine
are big
taking Carolina and
schools.
Clemson out of our states.
Yeah.
How good would Furman be? How good would Wofford be?
Yeah, they're big schools. They're public schools. And they have, nice-sized stadiums and they're the big show in town in those respective states. And like South Dakota State was 15-0, and they're going to open up. Look who they play. South Dakota State opens up at Oklahoma State. North Dakota State will play at Colorado. By the way, did Deion make an ass of himself or what over the weekend with his press conference after the practice up there the other day? I mean, seriously, get over yourself. I know you're one of the great players of all time. There's no question about that. You're one of the great players of all time, but you're not yet even an above-average coach, okay?
No.
You had a good year at Jackson State 1 year. Of course, South Carolina State handed you your head in your second year, I think it was. And you had a losing year last year at Colorado. You got one son is your quarterback. Another son is got all kind of financial problems. There's all kind of talk about what's been going on inside that program. Not real positive talk either. So get over yourself, Deion. And I hope none of the reporters there back up to him or feel threatened or intimidated, because that's the kind of coach he is in those settings. He wants you to feel intimidated by his collegiate and professional football greatness. His coaching greatness is not there, and I don't know if it ever will be there. Colorado hopes it will, but who knows?
And I wonder if the reporter from the Denver CBS affiliate, after Deion shut him down and had the audacity to say, yeah, I respect you, I just don't respect your organization, and I'm not going to answer any questions. Well, clearly you don't respect him. I wonder if the guy got up and left the press conference.
Good point.
And that would have been great.
Yeah, that would have made a nice show. But then you miss, as the reporter, you miss everything else that goes on, you know, inside. So, anyway, I just thought.
But if he's not going to take your questions, what's the point in you being there?
Well, I mean, you're there not just for your own question. You're there for hear what others are asking, and to take down the news. I mean, you could say, okay, well, screw you, and I'm just walking out here. You're going to lose that battle, the media guy. You know, you might win it within your buddies in the media, but you're going to lose it on the internet, and you're going to lose it in the court of public opinion with the people who are Buffalo fans. They're going to support their coach 100% of the time. But anyway, I just thought he made a complete jerk of himself.
Oh, yeah. And he goes 2-9 or, 1-10 or 1-11 this year. He's not going to have much support within his fan base either. His act is going to wear thin real quick.
I agree. USC senior defensive lineman Tonka Hemingway is on the Chuck Bednarik Award watch list announced by the Maxwell Football Club today. And also from Clemson, Barrett Carter and Peter Woods. They're on the same watch lists. Anybody know if Matt Kuchar finished his round today over in Greensboro? Oh, my God. I'm not
so
sure.
disappointed George is not on with us tonight. That would have been a fascinating discussion to find out what a former player thinks of that attitude.
On the one hand, he's a competitor, and he's trying to finish as high as he could to make more money. Even though somebody pointed out the guy's made millions of dollars, which is another 100,000. But I mean, the competitive side of him said, look, the rules say I can mark and pick up and come back tomorrow if I believe it's too dark. That's what the rules allow. So he played within the rules. Now, it might have been inconvenient for the people running the tournament or whatever. He was the only one left, right? He was the only guy that went back? Wow. That's surreal.
And so he parred the 18th, which he finished, because his drive, I think, was in the rough where he marked it and finished the tournament 11 under par. That was in a tie for 12th place. He had to win the tournament to qualify for the FedEx playoffs, which he has made. I think he's the only golfer that has made the FedEx playoffs every year since its inception. If I were the guys at the Wyndham that running that tournament, I would have handed him the keys to the clubhouse and said, just lock up when you're done.
Yeah. And then, on top of that, we had the race at Richmond last night. Now, we'll talk about this, but I've been listening to a lot of NASCAR radio today. And, my initial thought was, yeah, boy, that's what we like right there. Wreck them at the finish line. And, Dillon, he did what he had to do to Logano. And the big question was the wrecking of Hamlin. They say you just don't make that left-hand turn. You don't hook them. You don't hook them in the right fender, which is what he did, the right rear fender. You don't hook drivers. That's a no-no. But there are no rules against this. Listening to the experts, listening to some of the crew chiefs today and the NASCAR reporters, NASCAR is in sort of a bind here because there are no rules against what happened on the track. And so you can't take the win away. But my guess is tomorrow, which is Tuesday penalty day, they're going to suspend him for a race. And they'll call it reckless driving.
Well, and the question, and then if I'm Austin Dillon, I come back and say, look, you've made it very clear that the playoffs are the only thing that matters. The only way I was going to get into the playoffs was win a race. Here was my best opportunity. My sponsors want me in the playoffs. You've pushed me to this point. What was I supposed to do?
I thought it was a terrific race and terrific finish. We'll talk more in a moment.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's forecast. Muggy overnight with a low dipping down to 73. Tomorrow, more clouds than sunshine, a 40% chance of some afternoon storms, while the high is 88. For the rest of the work week, we'll have high temperatures hovering in the upper 80s, a blend of sunshine and clouds, and about a 20% chance we get some afternoon rain each day. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, and Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting crews have torn down a Texas church where a gunman killed more than 24 worshipers in 2017. The crews used heavy machinery Monday to raise the small building in Sutherland Springs, even after some families sought to preserve the scene of the deadliest church shooting in U.S. history. A judge last month cleared the way for the sanctuary of the First Baptist Church to be torn down. Donald Trump is returning at least for one night to X, the platform from which he was banned for nearly 2 years following the January 2021 riot at the U.S. Capitol. Trump and Elon Musk, X's owner, are slated to have a live conversation Monday night that the tech titan says will be unscripted with no limits on subject matter. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 140 points. This is SRN News.
I was thinking about the things that matter to me when it comes to calling the plumber. First, most of us call the plumber out of a need, often a crisis. So you want reliability. Then, we're in a vulnerable place already, so you want someone you can trust, someone who will be fair in their pricing and handle things professionally. These are some of the reasons I feel comfortable recommending Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. See, they've been out to my home. They've been out to my brother's home, too. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning did such a great job. And you know, maybe this might matter as much to some people, but they're locally owned. A lot of these plumbing companies you've heard of used to be local, and now they're owned by big national or even international conglomerates. Working with a locally owned company matters. It keeps your pricing down, and the money stays local here in the community. Josh and his team at Franklin makes customer service their top priority. I trust them. You can too, especially during these vulnerable times. Online, it's franklinplumbing.sc.com or call them 799-2222. That's 799-2222.
Hun, did you see the power bill? I feel like we're trying to cool the outside with these old original windows from the house.
Yeah, they are old. They let the cool air out and the hot air in. Plus, they're really ugly. I think it's time we finally get those new windows.
I think we need to bird windows and doors.
Oh yeah, they get the Miller's house up the street.
I got their card when I was talking to the Millers. Here it is, Redbird Windows and Doors, 727-0561. Oh, and let's look at their website too, redbirdwindows.com.
Give me that number again, please.
727-0561.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 5-9 college savings plan, is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
As we celebrate 10 fantastic years at Sweet Comfort Services, we're cooling you off with unbeatable deals on all SEER 2 and high-efficiency AC equipment. Hey Point family, mention this ad and get a thorough spring maintenance check from our expert non-commissioned techs for just $95 for your first system and a chill $45 each additional system. Look us up at sweethvac.com or call us at 331-8143. Celebrating a decade of keeping you cool and comfy. That's the Sweet Comfort promise.
Pardon me, ma'am. Are you interested in lowering your energy usage and saving money?
Make it quick.
Did you know that Dominion Energy offers heating and cooling rebates up to $750?
That's a lot of money.
Yes, it is. And it comes in handy if your system fails and you need a replacement.
Restrictions?
For starters, your new equipment must be Energy Star qualified.
That's a good thing.
Go to DominionEnergySC.com and click Save Energy.
DominionEnergySC.com it is. Thanks for the tip.
Certain restrictions apply.
Okay, we're back on Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. Things have heated back up in South Carolina, have they not? Now that the rain is out of here for a little while, for the most part, hopefully, everybody's drying out and rivers are receding, though I understand the PD River was really, really high I imagine some of the others are really, really high. But you know what? The Atlantic is calling your name, and it's a good place to go to try to cool off a little bit. And you still got time for some vacation here in August and into September. And we suggest you call our good friend Jimmy Smith at James Smith Real Estate in Pawleys Island in Litchfield. 843-237-4246, PawleysVacationRentals.com. Keep in mind, while vacation is in their name, real estate is their game. Hey, how you like that little slogan?
Very nice.
Vacation's in our name, but real estate is our game. They're more than happy to work with you to find you some property at the beach, be it a house or just some dirt or a condominium. They'll work with you every step of the way. That number again is 843-237-4246, PawleysVacationRentals.com, James W. Smith Real Estate. Okay, just want to finish up on Richmond. What a terrific. I mean, the thing is, here it is 24 hours later, and people are still talking about it, and controversy that it is, and NASCAR just does not have any hard and fast rules to come right out after a race and say, okay, that's illegal, that was illegal, even though you, the winner, crashed out two other contenders to get to the flag. And nobody should blame Austin Dillon because, like you said, he's out of the playoffs unless he wins the race. He was 30-something in the standings. He had no way of making the playoffs unless he won a race. This was his chance. RCR has really struggled. This was their chance. They played the in-car audio. I don't know if you heard that. His spotter was telling him to wreck him, wreck him, wreck him. I don't know if you heard that. But as these other cars were coming up on him, he said, low, 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 wreck him, wreck him, wreck him. So they were telling him to wreck anybody and everybody. And I think, however, listening to NASCAR radio, and there's precedent for allowing the win to stand and allowing the playoff spot to remain secure, but also suspend him a race. And I wouldn't be surprised if they don't suspend him from Michigan this coming week.
That'd be fascinating because what that would do, if you want payback, and you're Denny Hamlin, who clearly I think wants some payback, and Joey Logano's got plenty of beef too. You've got Michigan, which is basically a super speedway race. Then you have Daytona, which is clearly a super speedway race. And then guess what? You have Darlington, which will be your last chance to get payback before the playoffs. I can almost guarantee they won't touch. Let's assume Austin Dillon runs the rest of the races in the regular season. They won't touch him this week. Probably won't touch him at Daytona.
No.
We'll have some fun at Darlington Labor Day weekend, though.
Yeah. Yeah, the speeds, when you're up around 180, 200 miles an hour, I think that's taboo among the drivers. Yeah. So, but even at Darlington, I mean, you got to be careful there as well because you're touching 175, 180 coming down the straights, and that can cause some damage as well. So, anyway, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Look forward to talking to Josh Harris tomorrow night about that and his thoughts, and then Jeff Owens later in the week get his thoughts on that. But what a way for NASCAR to come back from their 2-week hiatus for the Olympics, with that kind of show at Richmond last night. Okay, we have Gamecock Larry standing by to join us here on the program. Then we're going to get to, have you tossed a coin yet?
I have.
Who'd it come up?
Well, you have to give me heads or tails.
All right, well, let's do Beamer heads and Sweeney tails.
Okay, it was tails. So for I think the second week in a row, Clemson's won the coin toss.
Okay, well they're 2-0 in coin tosses. So we'll bring you Sweeney after we bring you Gamecock Larry. Gamecock Larry, how are you?
Well, I'm doing the best I can. Finally got back in my bed after 3 weeks in my recliner. But the only thing, I'm talking to Chris now, the only thing that Clemson's going to win will be the coin toss. It's going to win the coin toss. That's all they're going to win. When they go to play Georgia, it's going to be a wipeout. It's going to be a wipeout. And we're going to wind up the first week of the college. We're going to be 1-0 at South Carolina. And Clemson's going to be 0-1. And there we go, on the way to 12-0. But I'm just saying, just keep me in your prayers. I don't know what's wrong. They hooking up all kind of I don't know. But all I got to say, if the good Lord made this body, good Lord take care of this body, the good Lord got it all under control. Keep me in your prayers. Chris,
Yes, sir.
quit wishing for a win August the 31st. Go Gamecocks. Come on, y'all.
Hey, you sound good. He
He
sounds
does.
good.
He sounds better.
Yeah, I'm glad he's back in his own bed, and that's mentally got to be a boost for him. Way to hang in there, Larry. We're all rooting for you. Good to hear from you tonight here on Sports Talk. But you're on his bad side. You need to get on his good side.
Yeah, I didn't realize I was wishing for a win for Clemson. I was just pointing out they've got a golden opportunity to shut up some of the voters.
And open a lot of eyes if they pull off that win. All right, speaking of the Tigers, they had their scrimmage Saturday, and I know it's been 24, 48 hours, but always good to hear from the head coaches when we can. Hear from Beamer later on, but what about Dabo Swinney and what he had to say to the media leading in? What'd you think?
Well, like I said, he claims that his defense did not perform all that well. He wasn't pleased with them. He was extremely pleased with his offensive line, liked the way the running backs ran, and certainly has high praise for Cade Klubnik as the Tigers went through the first of two scrimmages within the span of 6 days. They'll scrimmage again on Thursday, but their first one was this past Saturday. Here's what Dabo had to say afterwards.
Tough day, tough day, tough couple days. Yesterday was a true old-fashioned Derby day, just hot, and the guys had to really push through. It was a double day for us, came back last night, and then right back in here early this morning. So this is a tough little stretch for them mentally, but that's all part of them, growing and developing and maturing, the type of mental toughness that you got to have to go with the physical toughness. And but a lot of good work today, pretty much all good on good all day. Got a lot of special teams mixed in as well. So this is our first preseason game, if you will. We get two basically today, and then we'll go again next Thursday as a, true preseason game. Like, let's go play football. So, we've had some, we didn't get into pads until Wednesday. We had a little bit of live, but this was the first day where it's all live. So, there was some good and some bad, like there always is. It's never as good as you think it is, never as bad as you think it is on this first day. But a lot of things to be encouraged by, some individual guys, but still a long way to go. We got a lot of work to do. We got 3 weeks until we play on this very day. So, not anywhere what we need to be. But, this is just the next step for us in our preparation process of going to play. Now let's go study the film and see how we can get better from it.
You said you had a lot of guys individually did some things. Can you mention who some of those guys were?
Well, it's both sides. I mean, we had a bunch of guys on both sides that flashed. I thought we did some good stuff with some of the guys that you think, and then there was a couple of guys that I thought made some mistakes, defensively in particular, that mistakes they shouldn't make. A couple of busts. We had a big missed tackle in open field, led to a big play. But there was good on both sides from lots of guys. Did have a couple takeaways. Khalil had a takeaway. Ricardo had one. It's good to see that. A couple sacks, but just overall defensive. I just thought we were too undisciplined. Too many penalties, too many offsides. Again, it's a different game when you're not scripting things and you're really just playing in the rhythm of a series, and then you got ACC officials and true game feel, and it's every play's live. So, just a little undisciplined, I thought, from a penalty standpoint, and type of penalties that get you beat, jumping off sides and stuff like that. But offensively, a lot of good things. I mean, I thought all of our backs ran well, and I thought our OL. If I had to just say who won the day, I'd say the OL won the day. I'm really pleased with how they've performed to this point, and then I was anxious to see them go today, and I thought they came right out, open drive, touchdown drive, and I thought Cade had an outstanding day. He's had a really good camp. And today was really good. CV's had a really good camp, and he did some really good things today as well. And Trent, same thing. He missed a few plays that he wants to have back, but he always responds too. So we're doing a good job there. Our receivers, a bunch of guys flashed there. Same thing at tight end. So I saw us finish on some plays that we need to finish on. There was a couple others that you'd like to see us make. But again, some good, some bad. Same thing in the kicking game. Some things we got to clean up, but we got all phases worked and got a lot of work built into that just naturally happened within the scrimmage. And then we got some just true, created a couple special team situations that we needed to work on as well.
Does it feel like this offense is taking some important steps over the last few days?
Well, they're older. They're more mature. I mean, that's what it's called football. It's development. You've got Tristan Lee is a fourth year player now. He's a second-year starter. If you're made of the right stuff and you have pride in your performance, you get better. We're so quick to judge young players, and Walker Parks is back. Marcus Tate is a fourth-year senior. He's not a freshman. Blake Miller is a third-year starter. So we're just deeper. Trent Howard is a fifth-year senior that has started for us. Harris Sewell is not a true freshman anymore. He's played a whole year. He started some games. Colin Sadler is, a starter for us. I mean, we've got just more guys that have played a lot of football. And so you should be better. I mean, it's not a surprise. Just like it's not a surprise sometimes when you have some young guys that you have an account on that maybe have to go through a few growing pains. Maffa has been really good. I'm really pleased with the tight ends. Those guys, especially we've kind of limited Brenny this week, working him back in. He should be ready to go Monday, but he's been good for those other guys. To see those other guys step up. I'm really proud of all the receivers. We've got a lot of competition there. That's making everybody better. It's been a lot of fun to see that. But they're just, in year two with Coach Riley, all you can go on is practice. I mean, they're just we got more experienced guys, and we're playing with a little bit more identity, a little bit more consistency than we were this time last year. So we still aren't, they're not going. We're not the Dallas Cowboys or anything just yet, but we're certainly better at this point than we were, last year from just a consistency standpoint.
Coach, do you feel like Cole Turner has gotten back to where he was physically since before the injury, and is he maybe even better as a player now?
Oh man, yeah, same thing. He's on his third year. He hasn't been able to play. He played at the end of the freshman year. He went into the season as a starter last year, and he played a game and a quarter or whatever it was. He's out for the year, and so he's he definitely makes us different. And he's another guy that had a good first 3 days, and then he had got a little banged up, and we just got him back today. We just kind of limited him today, but just being smart with him. But there's no question. I mean, he's into his third year. He's a redshirt sophomore. Technically, he could be a redshirt freshman because he could get the year back from last year if he wanted to. But he brings a lot. He's a really fast dude, and plays with a lot of confidence and good ball skills. So it's a deep group. It's a deep group. We got a lot of options at that position.
You said the backs played well, I guess, but beyond Maffa,
yeah, they're all doing their thing, man. Jarvis is still out right now. He's going to be on kind of that day-to-day mode with him. But all those guys. Keith had a big, huge touchdown run today. Broke a tackle in the open field. And, he kind of does what he does. I mean, he's a big, strong, physical kid, and then he's just kind of different than all those other guys. And then Jay and Easy E, man, they've made big strides. So it's a lot of fun. It's a fun group. It's a good situation. Hopefully, if the good Lord will bless us and we keep Maffa healthy, we have a good situation to be able to really develop those guys into what we think they can be. But they'll add a lot to us. And again, it's a group. I mean, it's not like one guy's just, they're all really doing their thing right now. They're making mistakes too, but I like what I see from those three guys that are getting those reps. So it's turned into a pretty good little group.
All right, that was Devo Sweeney. His post-game comments, all of his comments up on our website at SportsTalkSC.com following the Tigers scrimmage on Saturday. Good and bad, as he pointed out. They'll scrimmage again this coming Thursday. And then all the focus on the Georgia Bulldogs starting thereafter as Clemson and Georgia open up the season on August 31st. 888-898-2525. If you'd like to join us here this evening, we'll hear from Shane Beamer, his thoughts about the Gamecocks' first scrimmage of the preseason a little bit later on in the program, plus Corn on the Palmetto Pigskin Tour live from Benedict just after 7 o'clock.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I'm not a case manager. I'm a lawyer for over 35 years. I don't charge 40% for your injury in your wreck case or any on-the-job injury. Call 803-765-2968 and ask for Jim Corbett or email me, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com for the experience of a lawyer handling injury case. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968. Jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Put 35 years of experience to work on your injury case.
Relax this summer with a promotional rate on select travel purchases with your Founders Federal Credit Union credit card. Now through August 31st, get 6.99% APR for 6 months on qualifying purchases, including airfare, hotels, restaurants, and cruise lines. Don't let interest rates slow you down this summer. Visit foundersfcu.com/travel to learn more. Not a Founders member yet? Founders has the financial tools you need and the personalized service you deserve. Stop by an office or visit foundersfcu.com to learn more about Founders and see if you qualify for. On March 1st, 2025, the promotional APR will revert to the effective APR as previously disclosed. Call 800-845-1644 for details about credit costs and terms. Membership qualification required.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
Deep in the heart of racing country lies a track tough to tame. The perfect setting for the late season drama of the Southern 500.
Outside lane gets the launch.
One last chance to make a playoff push. One last chance to catch regular season racing. One last chance to plan a Labor Day weekend worth bragging about.
Southern 500, baby.
NASCAR weekend at Darlington Raceway, August 31st and September 1st. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
You've put in the work for your education, the extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
Okay, let's give you the Monday night recruiting update here on Sports Talk. It is brought to you by Seawell's. Reminder to get over to Seawell's beginning tomorrow for the daily luncheon buffet. Coach Dickerson, I recommended highly the daily luncheon buffet at Seawell's. out by the fairgrounds. It's only $14.50, and you'll come out of there stuffed. Food is terrific, and it's from 11 till 2. Don't know if that'll work for your schedule. Monday through Friday. What we got tomorrow, Josh?
Tomorrow is Applewood smoked ham, Southern fried chicken, and hamburger steak and onions.
Wednesday.
Barbecue chicken, fried fish nuggets, and lasagna.
Thursday.
Southern fried chicken, meatloaf, and shrimp Alfredo.
Friday.
It's a roast beef Friday, honey barbecue and hot chicken wings, and baked flounder fillets.
Cannot beat it. Make sure you get there, and when you need the best in catering, you just give the folks at Seawells a phone call. Phone number of 803-771-7385. Online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. In fact, you can go online and check out their daily menus for the daily luncheon buffet, so you know what's coming up. So over the weekend, South Carolina got a 26 commitment from linebacker Keenan Britt, 6'2", 230 out of Oxford, Alabama. Chose the Gamecocks over Auburn, Oregon, Kansas, and Ole Miss. He made an unofficial visit to USC in the final week of July. Defensive coordinator and linebackers coach Clayton White had already positioned the Gamecocks in a strong place with Britt prior to the visit. And he said after that visit that he liked what they had laid out for him, their plans for him. He's also got a previous relationship with the director of player personnel, Darren Usher, who, of course, had been at Auburn and had been at Oregon as well. Britt, 110 tackles, 10 sacks, and 20 tackles for loss last season. Third commitment for the Gamecocks 2026 class, the second listed as a linebacker. Defensive tackle Josh Petty of Roswell, Georgia, who was offered by Clemson and South Carolina but did not follow up with either, committed to Georgia Tech. They're hailing this as like the greatest commitment ever for Georgia Tech because of his national ranking. I remind them of a guy named Joe Hamilton who played at Georgia Tech who was pretty good, or maybe a guy named Calvin Johnson who was not. You might recall that Megatron was not all that highly regarded as a recruit. And in fact, he goes to a school that ran the triple option. And all of a sudden, they find this super receiver, and he becomes one of the greatest of all time. So you just never know. 2026 Ridgeview wide receiver Jordan Gidron was offered by Stanford. That's the latest major offer for Gidron, who's got offers from coast to coast going into his junior year. Florida State commitment wide receiver Malik Clark of Rock Hill told Lou Bajak of the State that he still hears regularly from South Carolina despite his commitment to the Seminoles. USC was one of his finalists when he committed to Florida State in July, and he said USC's receivers coach Mike Furry and offensive coordinator Dowell Loggins have been in touch over the past couple of weeks, and they've told him he always has a spot with him. With them. He does have a spot with them. And North Carolina, another of the finalists, also continuing to stay in touch. Over the weekend, one-time USC and Clemson target safety Jonte Gilbert from Atlanta committed to Georgia. And Hammond tight end Mike Tyler is the next 2025 prospect in the state, set to make a commitment announcement, scheduled to do so Saturday. A top three of LSU, West Virginia, and Duke. And I think that's it. Well, one more little baseball note. 2026 shortstop States Farr of Spartanburg is decommitted from USC. I don't think we mentioned that. So there you go with recruiting. Mr. Bergen.
I've got an NFL piece of recruiting. This news from Jeremy Fowler of ESPN just reporting that a former Gamecock wide receiver, Demir Bird, is signing with the Buffalo Bills.
Ooh.
Demir's been all over the place in the NFL.
Take your long johns. All right, coming up, we've got Coach Ron Dickerson Jr. and offensive coordinator Stan Clayton from here at Benedict, along with players Aaron Miller and Zach Gibson, coming up after the break.
WQXL, the W4DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Donald Trump is returning to X for a live interview with the platform's owner, Elon Musk. More from correspondent Bernie Bennett.
Donald Trump is returning, at least for one night, to do a live interview Monday on X, the platform from which he was banned for nearly 2 years following the January 6, 2021 storming of the Capitol. Trump and X's owner, Elon Musk, are slated to have what the tech titan has termed a live conversation at 8 p.m. Eastern Time that will be, quote, unscripted with no limits on subject matter, so it should be highly entertaining. Musk is soliciting X users to pose their own questions. The conversation serves not only as a way for the former president to reach potentially millions of voters directly, but it's also an opportunity for X, a platform that relies heavily on politics, to redeem itself after some recent struggles. Bernie Bennett reporting.
Israel and the United States are preparing for an attack by Iran or one of its proxies. White House National Security spokesman John Kirby says an Iran-backed attack on Israel could come as soon as this week.
It is difficult to ascertain at this particular time if there is an attack by Iran and or its proxies, what that could look like. But we have to be prepared for what could be a significant set of attacks.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has ordered a guided missile submarine to the Middle East and is telling the USS Abraham Lincoln Aircraft Carrier Strike Group to sail more quickly to the area. A new study suggests Mars may be drenched beneath its surface with enough water hiding in the cracks of underground rocks to form a global ocean. The findings published Monday are based on computer modeling as well as seismic measurements from NASA's InSight lander. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 140 points, the Nasdaq rose 35. More at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
My debt problem started about 2016. I needed my life to change financially. I called Trinity and I ended up joining based on high credit card bills and high interest rate. And my counselor at Trinity has been great, and Trinity has been helping me to get on the right path of paying off these credit card bills, bringing down the interest rate. They have consolidated my bills into one low monthly payment. And now I am finally getting out of credit card debt. So I just want to say thank you, Trinity, for showing me a better and greater path.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Sharon, and soon I will be debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
For the Summer Olympics, it's So Long Paris and Hello Los Angeles. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
It's Los Angeles' turn for the 2028 Olympics. Hollywood movie star Tom Cruise leapt from the top of the stadium to the field where he was given the Olympic flag, then riding a motorcycle through Paris, getting on a plane.
I'm on my way.
A pre-recorded video shows the action star skydiving to the famed Hollywood sign in LA and attaching the Olympic rings. LA is notorious for its traffic, but the mayor says she has a plan for the 2028 games, similar to 1984. Julie Walker.
There's also the possibility they'll have to deal with earthquakes. A temblor measuring 4.4 by the U.S. Geological Survey struck the Los Angeles area today, centered in Highland Park. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy and muggy overnight with a low dipping down to 73. Tomorrow, more clouds than sunshine, a 40% chance of some afternoon storms, while the high is 88. For the rest of the work week, we'll have high temperatures hovering in the upper 80s, a blend of sunshine and clouds, and about a 20% chance we get some afternoon rain. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Please press button now. I said to, genius.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Sports Talk on this Monday night as we are back on the Palmetto Pigskin Tour after taking a detour up to Chicago on Friday and up there over the weekend. Back here in South Carolina and hitting the road to visit with coaches and players around the state. We are at Benedict College, and we are proud to have with us the new head coach, Ron Dickerson Jr., very popular name in the state of South Carolina, not only because of Ron Dickerson Jr., but, of course, if there's a junior, there's a senior. And senior spent some time in South Carolina at the University of South Carolina and at Clemson. And, Coach, welcome. It's great to see you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
How's it going so far?
It's going wonderful. Administratively, they've been wonderful. The alumni have been wonderful. The young men that stayed between the transition, they've been wonderful and buying into the culture and everything else. And so, it's a good vibe that I've gotten, my family's gotten, and the coaching staff have received. And so, we're just trying to make them better student athletes and better young men that play good football.
Well, I said at the beginning of the show, there might not be, except for Coach DeBoer at Alabama, there might not be anybody else in the country stepping into a more, I'm not going to say difficult situation, but who steps into a situation where the program went undefeated the last 2 seasons, only losing in the playoffs, and here you come having to kind of pick up on that. So it's not like it's a down situation. It was an up situation, and you've got to kind of keep it up.
You're true, and that's what I said when I did my first interview is that, the previous staff did a great job of building this program up. And, a lot of times when you go to programs, there are programs that are down or, there's something that's negative about the program. There was nothing when I walked in, negative about the program. The way that the administration, the previous staff represented this program did a great job. And so, a lot of people would joke with me and said I have big shoes to fill. I don't know. I never asked Coach Berry, what size shoe he wears, but I wear 13 and a half.
Ooh.
So, the big shoe situation I'm not worried about. But, again, it's Coach Berry's program was there. This is, my program. And like I said, the blessed thing is hopefully I can take the baton and continue to be very successful here at Benedict College.
Well, look, you played in the SEC, you played in the NFL, so I'm not sure there's much that can be thrown at you that you haven't already experienced in the football world.
True. Again, I'll talk about I have a good staff. I have staffs that, on my staff, I have guys that won JUCO national championships. They've played for a national championship at the D2 level. A lot of them have played in FBS football. A couple of them have won or played for a national championship in FBA. Some of them have played in Canadian. Some of them played in the NFL. So when you throw us all together, there's a lot of knowledge in there. There's a lot of energy. We're middle-aged staff, and so they really relate well with the players and stuff like that. So that's what we're doing now is we're trying to go over every negative situation that we can have so that when it happens, we've already talked about it and been on the positive side.
What are a couple of your basic philosophies about football, offense, defense, things that you like to see done in the team that you run?
That high tempo, if you really look at who's won national championships, not a lot of teams have won a national championship with a high tempo offense, but I think it's a good change up. And so, we're going to be based out of 11 personnel. We will have a tight end on the field. We will run the ball. When the opportunity comes, we'll throw the ball down the field, into that. And so, the key is a balanced offense for me and that. And if the defense gives us something, we're going to take it, On the other side, though, we're going to be very aggressive, and that's how we recruited in that situation with defense is that, we're going to put pressure on you. We're going to play sound defense, but we're going to move around a lot and really try to play games with the quarterback. And, the offensive coordinator, he's sitting either on the field or in the press box, but it's that young man that's on the field. So, we're going to give him a lot of different disguises and different looks.
Mentioned that Coach Drayton was going to be with us, but something came up. Wife came into town, so we understand that he's busy with family, and that's more important than us. I get that. So in building your roster, you mentioned very pleased with the guys that stayed. You obviously have lost some players, graduation eligibility expiring or transferring as a coaching change. That's normal now. How much did you hit the transfer portal or junior colleges in building your roster in the offseason?
That's kind of where college football is. And I mean, we hit it very hard, but we also did a great job. I think we ended up signing somewhere between 30 to 40 freshmen. But we had to replace a lot of young men, after, as you had mentioned, they were very successful. A lot of them went on, which I understand they had a great relationship with coach and the previous staff. So they went on down South Carolina State. In this portal, though, if you look across the country, there's guys that won national championship and they've lost guys that transfer. There's guys that, think that they can go from this school and get a bigger offer and stuff. So the transfer portal in my situation, was actually a good situation. Am I a favor of it? I just think there's a lot of kids that get left out, and it really now, it comes back to us as coaches. We got to still coach, and I can't just go out there and shop because this kid played there and say, okay, I want him. Coach, and that's why we're called coaches. If that's it, then you need to be a stockbroker or something else where you can just move stuff around in that. But we had to hit it hard because, when I got here, there was 40 young men by the time spring ball with injuries and transfers and graduation and everything. I think we were somewhere down to about 35-ish, 33. And so, we were blessed. I think right now we're somewhere around 135, almost 140 guys on the team. And we have them from all walks of life. I mean, we have them from Division II, NAIA, JUCO, Power Fives, great high school players again. So the big thing is just building a culture, and that's what so crucial when you get into this transfer portal is that, you have to rebuild the culture. And that's where, the young men that stayed here, they know how to win, and they bought into, Coach Dickerson's culture and this programs. And so they're helping leading how to be a Benedict Tiger.
Yeah. Culture goes beyond the X's and O's that we touched on earlier. What are some of the high points of your culture that you are instilling in this program?
Well, when I recruited every one of them, I told them my job, in paper and everything else, it says you're the head football coach. But really, I want to make them a better husband, father, employer, employee. I mean, that's what I want to do. And, they're going to look at me the way I walk and I talk. Everything we do, as I tell them, is our resume, And so those are the things that we look at. All you got to do is be 1% better every day. You don't have to be 100%. You just got to be 1% better, and you got to be thankful. And going into this season, our slogan is vision, and it's broken down into an acronym. The V stands for visualize. The I stands for initiate. The S stands for strategize. The other I stands for eternalize. The O stands for overcome. And the N stands for necessity. And actually, the guys are looking at me. I said that backwards. The first I is for initiate, and the other one is for.
That's a tough acronym
to
remember.
So and so as we go through that, we break it down, and we even break it down a lot smaller and stuff like that. But if we can not worry about what's going on in the outside world, and we can handle that, football is going to be fun. It's going to make you a better person because of the ups and downs, the successes, and everything else, and it'll make you a better husband, father, employer, employee.
Where are you at your quarterback position at this stage of camp?
We have quite a bit. We signed 2 great high school quarterbacks out of the state of Florida. Again, I got in late, and so the first signing period was done. So while we were going through spring ball and going through winter workouts, we were still recruiting. Got signed 2 freshmen out of South Florida. They're doing really good, battling for it. We signed a transfer out of Notre Dame College, the one that closed down. He's coming in as a redshirt freshman, Kamari Fry. He's doing great. Signed another transfer that started at Tusculum, was all conference there, went to McNeese, again, talking about the transfer portal. Played over there, played against University of Florida, and he's come in, and that's Trey. Trey's doing a really good job. And then you talk about the 2 that stayed around. Bryce is doing really well, and Zay, Zay is very unique. Zay's probably one of the smartest ones in the room. And so Zay brings a lot because he understands the culture, he understands the conference and everything else. But, that is probably every school in the country. It's still open, and we have about 19 days to figure it out. We'll know before then. But, it's up in the air, and they all bring something very unique in what we want to do offensively.
Well, I got to mention this. So, of course, you were a big-time recruit in high school, and Your dad had been at Clemson as defensive coordinator, and so you had connections there. You had connection to South Carolina. But you ended up going to – I know Clemson had shown some interest in you, but you told me off the air that what Danny Ford was the coach here at the time really wasn't something you were
Correct.
interested in. Yeah, you being a receiver and everything, and Danny hating receivers, so except for blockers. But anyway, you went up at Arkansas, go as a running back, become a receiver, have a terrific career, going to the NFL. But while you were at Arkansas, you were telling me you went through a string of coaching changes there. Run through those again while you were at Arkansas now.
So, again, coming out, Coach Ford and I, now we have a great relationship.
Yeah.
And I'll get into that. It was more so, too, didn't know much about Clemson at that point in time because Dad was at Penn State, but I also ran track. So you couldn't find a better school in the country than University of Arkansas, still to this day.
True.
Football, we're down. But, we had guys in the Olympics. South Carolina had people in the Olympics. But, I mean, back-to-back national championships. When I was there, we won 4 national championships. We run 4 Triple Crown. So it was a combination of a lot of stuff. In track also, But I get to Arkansas, and I'm recruited by Ken Hatfield, okay? And this is how the world goes around.
Yeah.
I'm recruited by Ken Hatfield. We go to the Cotton Bowl. Again, something happened. Next thing you know, I'm looking up. Coach Hatfield's leaving. He's going to Clemson.
Yes.
I'm like, what in the world's going on? A guy by the name of Jack Crow comes in. He was the offensive coordinator, and we hire him as the head football coach. And then I get a phone call from Ron Dickerson Sr. saying, hey, this guy named Ken Hatfield, he's hiring me to be the defensive coordinator. And I'm like, oh, okay, I may transfer. That was back in the day where you could only transfer once and everything else. But had a great talk with Dad, and he was like, Ron, you committed to Arkansas, you stay there. You get your degree, things happen in life, and you learn from it. And so the next thing you know, we go through 2 seasons with Jack Crow, hit the bumps and just things didn't work out. We weren't all his guys, and stuff like that. And going into my senior year, I think we played the Citadel. We lose to the Citadel.
Yes.
First time, I think in 89 years, Arkansas lost an opener into a team like that. I'm walking in the locker room, and I see Coach Frank Broyles, and I'm like, oh, that must not be good. The next thing you know, I get a call and says that Coach Crow is not the head coach anymore. I'm like, wow, what's going on?
Yeah.
Well, then our defensive coordinator, Joe Kynes, becomes the head coach. And so I'm like, okay. Then next thing you know, we see this guy, he's lurking around practice. And I'm like, wait a minute. I know that guy. And the next thing you know, we're getting ready to play Tennessee. We beat Tennessee. I think they were ranked 2nd in the nation or in the top 4. But it's Danny Ford.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, my dad goes to Clemson. I didn't want to go to Clemson because they didn't have a good track program. Next thing you know, Coach Ford now. And then when I left, he becomes the head coach at Arkansas.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, man, this sport is crazy.
Full circle. Full circle.
Into that. But, you meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
And the good thing about it is if you do what's right, you have good friends. And Coach Hatfield and I still talk. I've had the opportunity, in my moving around to reach out to Coach Crow. We still stay in contact. Haven't really had the opportunity because of where I've moved and everything. And my relationship wasn't as strong with Coach Ford, but when I had seen him before, I was a little younger, we still had a great relationship and stuff like that. And so, that's the blessing about, being at this profession is being able to reach back to somebody that helped you. And that's why coaching is so important.
Absolutely. What a great story. Thank you for visiting with us. Great to have you in Columbia. Know you're going to do a great job, and we'll be talking to you again. Going to grab those players here after the break.
Well, thank you.
Nice seeing you.
Same.
Thank you very much. Ron Dickerson Jr. here at Benedict College. And watch out because they're not going to take a back step to anybody. I have no doubt about that. Coming up, wide receiver Zach Gibson, transfer from Southern Illinois, and defensive end Aaron Miller, who is preseason All-SIAC after being All-Conference last season, 2023. They're coming up after the break.
We're with Major Billy Downer, Department of Resources. Major Downer, it's the fall in South Carolina. That means it's deer season. What do people need to know about?
That's right, Phil. It is deer season. We always want to remind hunters to identify your target. Know the identifying features of the game you're hunting. Make sure that it's a deer before you take that shot. When walking to and from your stand in low light, use a flashlight so that no one will mistake you for a deer. For more information on hunting safety and more information on deer season, listen to our show on Wednesday nights on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hostetler Brown. Helping an aging loved one arrange for their care can be one of the most difficult things you will ever do. Fortunately, you don't navigate this maze alone. Lawyer Lisa's knowledgeable life care team can lead you down the right path. Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
Oh, appliances, we can't live without them, and eventually we have to replace them, but we don't have to pay more for the new ones. Not with Carolina Discount Appliances. Do you want to go and shop at a bunch of retail stores and determine which one has the lowest overpriced item? Me neither. That's why my first call is always Carolina Discount Appliances. The philosophy is simple. No retail prices. None. It might have a scratch or a ding, but overall it's new and will cost you much less than what you're going to pay anywhere else. You need a refrigerator, washer, dryer, stove, range, or microwave, they've got you covered. But for less money. Same brands, same appliances, less money. And Carolina Discount Appliances is the home of the $40 down. Take it home today. No credit needed payment options. Regardless, Sherry has you covered. Call today, 803-770-3008. That's 770-3008. No matter where you're located, same number, same person, Sherry at Carolina Discount Appliances, 803-770-3008. It saved me money. It'll do the same for you.
If you're looking to stay hydrated this summer, turn toward a southern favorite, sweet South Carolina watermelons. One slice is equivalent to a glass of water and is just as effective as drinks for hydration. If you don't believe us, you can ask the Palmetto State's top football teams. The SC Watermelon Association will be serving up slices after summer practice to keep our teams fueled and hydrated. Visit scwatermelon.org for all the details and look for ripe South Carolina watermelons in your hometown.
The South Carolina Education Lottery has a new rolling jackpot, and trust me, our state hasn't seen anything this big before.
How big? Harbortown Lighthouse big?
Bigger.
Bigger than the Ravenel Bridge?
Even bigger.
Not bigger than Table Rock.
With this new rolling jackpot, Palmetto Cash 5 is officially too big to ignore. Palmetto Cash 5 draws nightly, so play today. Check if your numbers are winners in the Players Club app or at SCEducationLottery.com. Overall odds are 1 in 10. Top prize odds are 1 in 850,668.
George Bryant here with Tsunami Bar Sports, and wow, Tsunami Robbie, there is now an amazing technology that you can use when you train receiving large game without having to endure pain. Please explain.
George, that is the magic combination. I have 3 simple words to define that entire concept. Stimulation, not annihilation. Regardless of your training goals, there is a level of stimulation that is optimal for your desired gains. Tsunami Bar's flexible bar technology meets these demands because the user determines the level of stimulation with the amount of speed and force they impart into the bar or training device.
Hey, this is Phil Kornbluth. The Tsunami Bar is a terrific training device, whether you're working on your fitness or your health game. It's convenient, it's easy to use, and you won't feel beat up afterwards. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait. Order today. Okay, we're back at Benedict College on the Palmetto Pigskin Tour. Just visited with Coach Ron Dickerson Jr. Now we are joined by 2 of the standout players for this year's Tiger team. We got defensive end Aaron Miller, a preseason All-American, had 10.5 sacks last year, a native of Atlanta, and wide receiver Zach Gibson, a transfer from Southern Illinois who grew up outside of Chicago. It's great to have the 2 of them with us. Well, Aaron, let's talk with you first because you're a hangover from the previous group. You made the transition. You're used to winning here, but you got a really bright staff and a great head coach that's come in. How are you feeling about the way things have transitioned from one staff to the next?
I feel pretty good about the way that we transitioned through. We had like a few guys in the spring, but seeing as when we came back for camp, we had like 100-something, 130 or something like that, 140 guys. So we brought in some good guys. We've been practicing and everything. Everything been looking good. So I'm looking forward to the season, most definitely.
10.5 sacks. So what's your favorite move on the quarterback?
I just find a way to get them down. And I don't
I
really
mean,
have
you
a
got to
favorite
have
move.
like a swim move or some kind of power thrust or something.
Probably go power first.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just blow by people?
Yes, sir.
I imagine pretty quick first move.
Yes, sir. You got to make every move fast.
I understand.
Yes, sir.
Understand. Let's go to the offensive side and talk with Zach, who comes here from Southern Illinois. And so why Benedict for you when you were in the portal and looking around for a new place? What attracted you to Benedict?
Really just wanted a place where you could be competitive. You had a chance to win. And coming into an environment where everybody was kind of on the same page collectively. And there was a lot of guys kind of coming in my situation, somebody who was new and kind of trying to find their way in this whole thing and kind of just trying to gel with what we've had in the past as far as like the old teammates, the old culture and that sort of system, as far as kind of showing what you can bring to the table as far as helping the team win.
Do you feel like you've gelled with everybody?
Yeah, I mean, it's an ongoing process. It never really ends, in my opinion. And it's something that's going to continue to keep going all the way throughout the season. But I feel like we're definitely, hitting big strides and the whole team is coming together in ways that are definitely make you excited about, the first game, but, throughout the future.
Yeah. Coach mentioned in our interview that he likes a high-intensity offense. I think he likes to go fast. I don't know if he likes to go Tennessee fast, but he likes to go fast. How fast are y'all going?
I couldn't give you like an exact measurement of time, but it's pretty quick from, the time the ball's handed to the ref and it's, put down to the next play call and the next snap. Feel like high-intensity offense, allows you to play fast and play free and keeps the defense really on their toes and not able to quite as much like guess what you're going to do next.
Aaron, 20 straight regular season wins for you guys. What's it been like around here? What was it like around here the last 2 years as you got – because really you kind of came out of nowhere. And you make the playoffs. You win the league 2 years in a row, HBCU championships and things like that. What was it like in the program then? And what is it that you are trying to share with maybe the new guys that are coming in?
Basically, well, Coach, he always says it. He says expect to win. That's our mentality. We come in every game. All of those 20 games that we won, we expected to win. That's what we went out there and did. Coach is still pushing that. Coach D is still pushing that we got to go out there and expect to win. So that's why I'm sharing with them. We got to have that confidence because it all starts with confidence. If you're not confident in what you're doing, you're not confident in your ability, you're not going to go out there and perform properly as you should.
Why did you stay? I mean, when there's a coaching change, a lot of people hit the door.
Right. I stay because I believe in what Coach D is preaching. Like I said, it's just God first, stuff like that. And I say always be ready to win. I like the vision. So I stay. I believe in it.
Did you kind of have to be re-recruited by the new staff when they got here?
I wouldn't say that because I still like the school too. Mm-hmm. So that's a real important part of recruiting. You got to actually like the school so that when new people do come in, you can still stay here and be comfortable. So yes, sir.
Yeah,
still like school.
So Zach, you guys are opening up September 1, Sunday.
Yes,
I mean, you guys are going to be like NFL. You're going to be playing Virginia State in the Black College Hall of Fame Classic in Canton, Ohio, the Hall of Fame field there on the NFL Network. I mean, how cool is that for you guys?
For me, it's definitely a big experience because, going back to the Midwest and being able to go out there, so I'll be able to have some family come out and see the game. But definitely just, new experiences playing in Canton. It means a lot. There's a lot of, rich history out there as far as football is concerned. And to be able to, stamp yourself as a part of that. And it's exciting. It's an exciting thing to definitely kind of jump into for sure.
How have you seen the defense?
So far, I've seen not a whole bunch as we start getting closer and, scheming specifically for them. I've seen a couple of things that we definitely think we can take advantage of based off of, how we scheme teams in our offense and the different personnel packages we have and different guys to, go out there and show their strengths.
Fellas, we wish you the best this season. Hope it's a healthy year for you, another successful run, and we'll be out to see you and keep a close watch on you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you guys very much. Wide receiver Zach Gibson, defensive end Aaron Miller from here at Benedict. Back in a moment.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy and muggy overnight with a low dipping down to 73. Tomorrow, more clouds than sunshine, a 40% chance of some afternoon storms, while the high is 88. For the rest of the work week, we'll have high temperatures hovering in the upper 80s, a blend of sunshine and clouds, and about a 20% chance we get some afternoon rain each day. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
Hey Columbia, did you know there's a beautiful sporting clays course, rifle range, and 200-person event center just 30 minutes from downtown? The Palmetto State Armory Outdoor Range in Swansea, South Carolina has everything you need to prepare for this upcoming hunting season, from sighting in your rifle to knocking off the rust on your shotgun. Are you looking for somewhere to host an event or fundraiser? We have everything you need to make your outing one they won't forget. Come check us out at 1201 Redmond Mill, Swansea, South Carolina. Find us at facebook.com/PSA Outdoor. That's facebook.com/PSA Outdoor.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting a judge has ruled that independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. falsely claimed a New York residence on nominating petitions, invalidating the documents he needs to appear on the ballot in the state. The ruling Monday from Judge Christina Ryba after a short trial in state court is expected to be appealed. If upheld, it could open the door to challenges in other states where Kennedy used the New York address to gather signatures. The lawsuit, backed by a Democrat-aligned PAC, argued Kennedy actually lives in California with his wife, actor Cheryl Hines. Tropical storm Ernesto has formed in the Atlantic Ocean near the Leeward Islands in Puerto Rico. The National Hurricane Center in Miami said Monday that the storm could lead to flash floods and mudslides in the islands. More details at srnnews.com.
Here's a shocker. It gets hot in South Carolina. Seems kind of crazy. And if you got a home or you got a business, you're sick of the power companies controlling you, demanding rate increases every 6 months, sick of your power bill going up. You can't even pick your power company, but you can choose Broker Solar to give you some control over that bill. Solar panels are not free like some of these stupid yard signs say. These door knockers often, well, they're scam artists. Not Broker Solar. Knocking on the doors. I told Ken I want some incentive for our Point family listeners. So purchase a system from Broker Solar. Your first solar panel is free. Look, I'm not into scare tactics, but this is an election year. And the way things are going, well, maybe it's time to stop relying on the government or these power companies. Broker Solar offers you control. Solar can save you money. These solar batteries are amazing. What a huge difference they can make. Do your homework. Online, it's brokersolar.com or just call Ken. I trust him. I really do. You can also. 807-7417. That's 807-7417.
Remodeling. Just the thought of it can be a little scary. I'm Eddie Springer of Treycal Builders, and we understand. Many of our clients come to us after a bad experience, from no-show contractors to shoddy work. Seen it all. Treycal is different. We do first-class work quickly, cleanly, and affordably. With Treycal, remodeling's easy. Call 360-8211, 360-8211, or visit trecalbuilders.com. Quality from start to finish.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Assured by the NCUA.
Want to hear my success story? I'm Fran Halloran, the money coach. I'm celebrating a decade of partnering with The Point. It's one of the best decisions I ever made. I've used The Point to significantly grow my small business. It started with a meeting with Kevin Cohen. Do you own a small business? Are you on a limited budget? No problem. Reach out to Kev at 563-8558. Get a customized plan and start your journey to business growth with The Point today. Success is one call away. Take the leap.
The Point is going back on the road. This time we're spending the afternoon drive Thursday at Triangle Pharmacy in West Columbia for the grand reopening. Join me, Kevin Cohen, along with Fran Howell from 4 to 6. We'll have Point swag, refreshments, some great wellness tests, all for free from our neighborhood pharmacy. It's Triangle Pharmacy. We love taking VFT on the road. We'll see you Thursday, 4 to 6, Triangle Pharmacy, West Columbia. Thanks for supporting The Point.
All right, thank you. Man, thank you to Coach Ron Dickerson Jr., receiver Zach Gibson, who looks to me like the great Green Bay Packer wide receiver Christian Watson, though I hope he stays more healthy than Watson has been. If Watson stays healthy, man, he'll have a great year. Third play of preseason, the Packers threw a 65-yard touchdown pass. And defensive end Aaron Miller. Good luck to all those guys for the upcoming season. Yeah, I thought I'd throw that out there. 1-0 in the preseason, though it. By the way, I got to say this, too. Not to knock anybody, okay? Not to knock anybody. But I saw where, somebody on the internet wrote that Spencer Rattler had scored his first NFL touchdown, which is not true because preseason stats don't count. He'll score his first NFL touchdown when he gets in a real game, a regular season game, and score it. That will be his first NFL. But please, people, that's what happens when you have a media full of ignoramuses and, people caught up in cheering for their teams too much. The preseason stats do not count. So that is not his first NFL touchdown. That is to come if things go well. But apparently he's been impressive in the Saints camp. I want to say this before we get to Shane Beamer and get your thoughts on this real quick. I have an idea. You know how coaches always complain that in college you never get to play a preseason game to prepare your team. It's, you have to play each other, just practice. Then your first game is when you play, right?
Right.
Well, how about this? And here's how you can get around this because the NCAA, of course, has said no to this over and over again. In the name of NIL, what if like 6 teams got together and had a jamboree? And in the name of NIL, after expenses, they split the money and it goes to their NILs, to the players. So let's just use South Carolina as an example.
I think it's genius.
Use South Carolina as an example. South Carolina plays Virginia for a half. And then you bring in, let's say Clemson. Clemson, you come in, play a half, and you play Auburn. And then we bring in, let me think of another team that would fit. Bring in NC State, and NC State would play Georgia. I'm not saying that those things. You see what I'm saying? Bring in 6 FBS teams, each to play a half. Sell tickets to all their fans, and after expenses, the money goes to NIL deals. What do you think?
I think it's a genius idea. And I would take it a step further. You could have, and if the NCAA is so caught up against a lot of this for player safety, which, let's face it, is ridiculous, but the standpoint, you could basically, each state could do their own thing. I mean, the 3 FBS programs in our state could play 3 of the top FCS programs in our state, meet in Columbia, kind of travel it around once a year, and it would be the South Carolina College Football Jamboree.
Yeah.
With all the money being donated to the and it wouldn't just have to be the schools that participate. All that NIL money we could divvy up between all the football playing schools in South Carolina.
But I mean, logistically, it wouldn't work. You have 30 media members for each team. You got 100 players.
Listen, I didn't ask for you to shoot down my idea, okay?
I'm not.
I didn't ask for that, okay? And I also, didn't ask for Chris to provide a socialistic approach to the divvying up of the money.
You mentioned Carolina and Clemson, and then you just skipped over Coastal and said let's bring Georgia and NC State in. Why would you bring 2 schools from out of state?
I'm sorry. Bring Coastal in as well. You can do the play-by-play. For the
just pointing out, I have to remind everybody there are 3 FBS programs in our state, not 2.
You're right. But anyway, you get the gist of my idea, okay?
I think it's great.
And you know what, Josh? I mean, once your game is done, you leave and you make room for the next group to come in. These things can be worked out once the Kornblut College Football Jamboree is widely endorsed nationwide, okay? And it
works for the weekend of champions.
We
get 3-4 games in a day for the high school league.
And just like the people who run these collectives, I get my 10% cut.
I think you should.
Okay. I bet you the coaches would like that. Shane Beamer.
I know 2 will.
Yes.
Beamer and Dabo have both openly lobbied for that opportunity.
Yes. Let's go to Shane Beamer. Here is what he said after the Gamecocks had their first major scrimmage of the camp on Saturday. Shane Beamer.
Got a lot of good work in today. We were out there for a little over 100 plays, finished up a little bit early because we did cut some things out of that, believe it or not, as far as the number of plays we were going to get. But we were very efficient and got a lot of plays run, obviously, in a short period of time. That doesn't mean that we're all of a sudden like this up-tempo offense going fast. I'm not saying that. Our guys were just very efficient, getting out of the huddle and getting reps and getting on and off the field as well. 100 plays in. Got a lot of game work. We were able to utilize the iPads like we'll be able to use in games this season. I know from just talking to Lenoris outside a minute ago at lunch, it was very beneficial for him. We utilized the radio and the helmet communication with the quarterbacks and the guys on defense. That was very beneficial without a doubt. So that was good work. We started at midday intentionally at 11 a.m., knowing that we will have some midday kickoffs as well. Started at midday intentionally. We play LSU at noon. Oklahoma and Alabama are going to be early kickoffs as well, noon Eastern, 11 Central type games. So I thought it would be really beneficial for us to be able to get some work at midday as well. And it was really, really hot, obviously, but our guys pushed through. We talk all the time about, staying in the fight. And our guys did push through and got some really good work in today. We've had a good week, grinded through this week, really liked the work our guys put in practice leading up into today. Without a doubt, we've got a big week coming up. Today's not over. We've got lunch right now. Then they get a little bit of a break while the coaches watch the tape of the scrimmage. And then the players will be back over here at 5:15 today to watch the tape of the scrimmage from today. And then we're right back at it, the meetings tonight, and right back at it tomorrow morning with another practice. So we're back on the grind as we talk to the players about after practice. But overall, really like this group, the way they're working and the way they're coming together. Without a doubt. Injury-wise, just normal bumps and bruises associated with preseason training camp. These guys didn't scrimmage today. Marquis Anderson, Vandravius Jacobs, Elijah Davis, Chakai Moore, Reed McKeska, Juju McDowell, Bam Martin Scott, and Rocket Sanders. Rocket, Bam, Juju, Reed, Chakai, Elijah, Dre, and Marquis. Nothing major. All those guys practiced this week. And had some just normal bumps and bruises and did not go today. Expect all of them to be back at practice tomorrow and ready to rock and roll. So got through the scrimmage, I think, health-wise, pretty good. Had a couple of things that popped up, but I don't think it'll be anything long-term as we just came off the field just a little bit ago. Hopefully that's the case. And with that, any questions?
There's been some report outs lately that the SEC might be going to an injury report this season. Have you and the other coaches talked about that? Do you think it's imminent, and what do you think about it if so?
I do think it is. There's a lot of reasons behind that the SEC is doing that or thinking about doing that. It's something, David, that we talked about in Destin at our head coach our league meetings back in May. We did talk about that as head coaches. I have no problem with it. We actually did it when I was at Virginia Tech working for my dad. The ACC had that policy. I forget what year I was there, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, but one of those years, or at least, or maybe more, there was a policy for injuries that you had to put out. And, I have no issues with it. We've been fairly forthcoming, I guess, when it comes to injuries. And as long as everybody's, playing by the same rules, I'd have no issues.
How did Lenoris look today, and did he get all of the first-team reps at quarterback? Or
Lenoris looked good. He and Robbie got some work with the first group. Lenoris got some work with the second group. Davis Bevel got some work with that second group. So I thought Dow did a good job of rotating all those guys in there and getting them work. Thought Lenoris did a good job. We thought he looked very poised and composed out there, made some nice throws, had some nice runs, managed the offense the right way. Robbie Ashford flashed. Davis made some good throws. So I thought overall, I think Lenoris has had, a good end of the week. Not that the first of the week was bad, but the last couple of days I've really been impressed with him and like the way that whole group is coming together in that quarterback room right now.
Shane, you mentioned Smith scored a touchdown. Who else scored or maybe got a turnover today?
Not many, Dave. Like I said, we had some drives that we didn't finish, whether we got in scoring territory, and we missed a field goal. We got in scoring territory, and we had some negative yardage plays on offense. It took us out of field goal range. We had Mike caught a pass, and we had a little goal line play. So the offense started on the 2-yard line, and it was so they didn't drive the ball down the field. And Matthew Fuller, I believe, scored on that one with that group. Isaiah McCleary had an interception. I think that's back-to-back times in the stadium now because he had one in the spring game too. So that's a positive for the offense. We didn't, for the most part, they didn't turn the ball over. We had one interception, and that was just on a little hitch route out in the flat. And Isaiah made a good play at the corner position. So offensively pleased because we didn't turn the ball over. We can't beat ourselves and shoot ourselves in the foot and not finish drives. So we need, from a head coach standpoint, defensively, we need more takeaways. From a head coach standpoint, offensively, proud of the offense, the way they protected the football. And we didn't have a lot of pre-snap penalties on either side of the ball, which was very good. And I think it was 103 total plays to have very few pre-snap penalties. That's a good thing, especially out there in that heat. Now we got to be better about just making sure we don't have the holding penalties and the hands to the face and some of that stuff that we had today that are critical penalties while the play is going on.
Well, aside from maybe some of those penalties you mentioned, how do you feel the offensive line performed today, and I guess throughout the first 7 days of practice?
I feel pretty good. They've battled for one. Outside of Marquis and Ja'Kai not playing today, they've been healthy. And Marquis just had something that he kind of tweaked a little bit. What's today? Yesterday, I guess, or Thursday. And then Ja'Kai, same thing. Like I said, expect both of them back at practice. So first part is they've been out there. They've stayed in the fight. We've got a full group out there where we're not banged up right now. So proud of them from that standpoint, the way they prepared their bodies over the summer to withstand the rigors of training camp. And then overall, I've been pleased. I like the way that group is working. Lonnie is, mixing guys in and out and getting them work at different spots. And I feel like those guys have done a good job. I like the way that we've run the ball in practice this week for sure. And it was good to see some of those backs carry the ball today. We really wanted to come out of this scrimmage having a good idea about the running backs and who we can count on right now and who may be in that rotation going forward. And the offensive line out there gave us an opportunity to do that, in my opinion.
I know a lot of the focus is obviously on how Lenoris is playing on the field, and last year was about Spencer, but I'm just curious in what ways you've seen Lenoris grow, either as a leader, as a person, kind of making that jump from rookie to sophomore year.
Yeah, he's consistent. I mean, that's just who he is. He's the same guy now that he was last year, maybe as a true freshman at this time. And that's a great thing. He's steady, he's consistent, but he's just nothing, phases him. He was just out there before I walked in eating lunch and kind of going back and forth with one of the linebackers about something that happened in practice. And today in practice, he had a ball that got, batted down on a throw, and TJ Sanders and some of the defensive linemen were on the sideline kind of giving him crap about it. And Lenoris was getting the play call from Dow in his ear, but he was able to listen to the play call and then turn around and tell TJ to be quiet as well. So that's something probably that he wouldn't have done last year. And it kind of took me by surprise, Lenoris. But just stuff like that. He's having fun out there. He's got the respect of his teammates. And Lenoris, to me, is the same guy. I think around him, the way his teammates view him, he has their respect, and they think a lot of him as a teammate and a player.
I think you mentioned there was a missed kick today. What have been your thoughts through a couple practices on the kicking competition?
I think it's been very inconsistent. I think all those guys have had opportunities in practice that they've taken advantage of, and then they've also missed some really good opportunities to take a step forward. So it's I don't think we're any closer to having a starter at that position. I'm not worried, but it just overall has not been consistent as much as I would like. Having said that, Kai Kroger and Mason Love are punting the crap out of the ball right now. So I'm really excited about those two guys and the way they're hitting it. And our kickers will be fine. They just we've got to keep putting them in pressure situations. And one thing that we've done this year preseason different is just putting them in pressure situations where something's on the line for the whole team, good or bad, depending on their kick, and trying to create those, if not daily, pretty much daily.
I know your big thing is competition, and you really preach that a lot with the running back room, kind of going back to that. Rocket missed today. A lot of other guys get opportunities. I know the season's a few weeks away. How do you kind of manage, Rocket's obviously the big guy that you guys got in the portal, but can it help that these other guys that, were getting reps instead of Rocket today, can that kind of elevate them ahead of him potentially? Or how do you kind of manage that with a guy that, is so prolific in the run game?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's competition, but to me, everything's based not just on Saturdays. It's based on what you're doing during the week too. And, Rocket has done everything in practice. So before the story becomes, oh my God, Rocket Sanders is not healthy. Rocket Sanders is 100% healthy, and he's done everything in practice. And if anything, I've got to tell him to slow down a little bit, because Joe D has a special teams drill and he pops up and he wants to be the first one in line to go do a special teams drill. And then we're doing one-on-one blitz pickup, the running backs and the linebackers, which is as physical a drill as those guys really get in a short area. And he's blocked blitzing linebackers pretty regularly in the SEC, and he's up there just taking rep after rep after rep after rep. So he's getting his work in during practice. We wanted to see some of those other guys today and just limit him a little bit, without a doubt. But it gave those other guys opportunities, certainly, to try and solidify a role on this team. But there's no question in my mind the way that Rocket is competing in practice. He's gotten better this week out there on the practice field, and expecting to continue to get better this upcoming week, starting tomorrow on the practice field also.
Okay, there you go. Shane Beamer. The Gamecocks will have another scrimmage on Saturday. Clemson will scrimmage again on Thursday. Hear from the coaches then. Have that covered for you. South Carolina and Clemson will continue to have media availabilities throughout the week. South Carolina again tomorrow with offensive players, and then on Wednesday with some defensive players. Let's touch on a few final notes here before we shut things down tonight.
And then I have one caveat, one amendment you have to add to your proposal before it would work. So,
all right.
Go ahead.
I don't know where we'll be tomorrow night, because where I hope to be, I've not been able to get it scheduled because the schedule's not working out with the coaches. So then I hope to move somebody there into that slot, and that hasn't worked. So have to work on that overnight and in the morning. So maybe in the studio, don't want to be in the studio, but maybe in the studio if we can't find some way to fill that gap tomorrow night. But just wanted to say that we've got the preseason high school polls out by the panel that votes on this, the sports writers around the state. I'm not included, of course. Are you included, Chris? They asked you to vote
in the poll. Yeah, I used to vote in the poll. I don't anymore.
Yeah, well, didn't ask me again this year. That's the 42nd consecutive year we've been asked not to vote. So we are consistent. And I don't deserve to vote anyway. In 5A, Dutch Fork.
Disagree.
No, I don't deserve to vote. No.
You cover high school football just as well as anybody.
No. I mean, yeah,
you should get a vote.
Scores. I can give you scores and stuff, but I can't break it down like these guys can. 5A, Dutch Fork, Gaffney, Somerville, Northwestern, Irmo, White Knoll, T.L. Hanna, J.O. Mann, Sumter, and Hillcrest.
I'm so happy for Tom Knotts. He found a poll that had them preseason number 5. I have no idea where he found that, but he was able to use that as motivation a couple of weeks ago. Now he's ranked where he believes, and I think most people in the state believe they should be.
Yep. 4A, it's West Side, got all the votes. South Florence, Daniel, South Point, Camden, Gray Collegiate, Hartsville, Midland Valley, Brooklyn, Casey, and Gilbert. I mean, how competitive is 4A going to be?
That is strong.
My Lord.
That is strong.
3A, Belton Honeypath, Oceanside Collegiate, Dillon, Christ Church. Okay, you're bumping them from what, 1A into 3A? Chapman, Pendleton, Silver Bluff, then a tie between Broome and Powdersville, and then Marlboro County rounding out
That
the
would be
3A
big to have
ranking.
Marlboro County back, Phil. They have not been
Mhm.
all that good here the past several years since Dean Boyd moved on. So it'd be good to have Marlboro County back in the mix.
2A, Chester, preseason number 1, followed by Clinton, Hampton County. Tell you, best thing they did for football down there was to create Hampton County.
Yeah.
Because that did they close Ridgeville, Hardyville? Or is that still Ridgeland, Hardyville? Or is that still at one time? I remember David and I talking about the prospects of them closing that school. But I don't know if that affects Hampton County, but they've got a good football team there in Hampton County. Then Strom Thurmond, Barnwell, Fairfield Central, Philip Simmons, Saluda, Manning, and Andrew Jackson, and then 1A. Abbeville. Enough said. Got all 17 votes. Bamberg Earhart. Abbeville has no business playing in 1A. I'm sorry. Abbeville. But you know what? By the time Abbeville's done, they will have won a championship in every classification in South Carolina. Serious. Put them in 5A, they'll win that. Bamberg Earhart, Louisville, Johnsonville, Lamar, Blackville Hilda, Calhoun County, Lakeview, Latta, home of champions, and Cross, rounding out your top 10. That is that. I'm looking at the list. Oh, Pete Yandy gets to vote in this as well. Oh, he votes in the AP poll, and he votes in the high school poll. How can one man have so much knowledge to be able to do that? It's amazing. I'm not capable of doing that. NBC's Olympic ratings up 82% from the 21 games.
I had a hard time buying that.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course,
I really
that was the COVID games. Now
COVID,
remember,
yeah.
final
But you would've
ratings
thought
are
that
in.
We couldn't leave we couldn't go outside. We were supposed to stay at home. What else were we doing but watching television?
True.
I just find it hard to believe that NBC had that kind of bump with their Olympics coverage.
Well, it says the entire 17-day event averaged 30.6 million viewers in the U.S. on the NBCU platforms, a whopping 82% above the Tokyo Games. NBCU's total audience delivery calculations for the Paris Olympics could be seen as somewhat inflated as they combine viewership numbers from the afternoon when it's prime time in France and re-airs during prime time in the U.S. Still, by any calculation, this story says, the numbers represent a huge lift for both the network and the Olympic more broadly. I think they meant the Olympics more broadly, and are a critical indicator of the elevated buzz the event unquestionably enjoyed. Okay. By the way, I saw where, and get ready, sports fans, I saw, you got Disney. Let me see if I get this right. You got Disney and Time Warner and one other mega media group. They're working together. It's Fox. Yeah, I think it's Fox and Disney and Time Warner, right?
I thought ABC owns Disney.
Disney owns ABC.
Yeah.
Disney's the ultimate owner there. But they're forming this sports-only streaming platform, right? You know that, right? You know what the price per month on that's going to be? You know what the price per month's going to be? Take a guess. Take a guess.
Let's say $200.
Oh, per month.
I'm
We're
thinking
talking per
40.
month.
I'm thinking 40.
Yeah, $43 a month.
Okay.
Would you pay that? $43 a month?
No, I'm already paying enough for the amount of sports I get.
Well, that's my point. I thought that's unbelievably high, and they need this money. This is a revenue stream for them because of all the billions of dollars they've got awarded in various contracts. What if the world doesn't buy it? What if they fall well short of sales expectations? Just something to think about moving forward. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for us here on Sports Talk tonight at Benedict. Thanks to Dennis Setzler for taking great care of us, and thanks to the coaches and players for coming by. We'll see you somewhere tomorrow night. Don't know where, but we'll see you tomorrow night.